Greetings, brothers and sisters. So this is the original Whispers of the Brighter World message with the Esoteric Symbol. And I just want to read this and I'll talk about it on the other side. And it says, Tuesday, September 7th, 1999, 10 a.m. The median. Babaji, make it so that I can continue serving you as you want, as you see fit, even if that's not to my liking. The essential for me is to have your love. Rest assured, we are not torturers. We will not ask you to become like Atlas. We also want your well-being so that you can give your best. Rest, my child. Let us not get carried away. It is a lot for today. Fortunately, your team of scribes is busy working. Thank them all. May they be blessed. And then it says here, the vacuum at the core of the cell is a well of light where thousands of stars are reflected. Esoteric symbol showing the physical heart and the spiritual heart with the central region, which is the center point, which is the key to it is the center point, because that's, it's always the center. And it says here, nucleus of divine energy. In physics, the nucleus is the central part of the atom, made up of protons and neutrons. There's a vacuum in its center, known for centuries by mystics and finally detected by scientists who haven't really identified it. So that was the original message. I want to add something to this. There is no symbols in Sage-Bark up until this point when this was released. Well, first let me say this, that the Whispers of the Brighter World books, the first book had like a bunch of different threads in it. And they jumped all over the place because it came out in 2005. And it didn't have the messages in chronological order. It did with every, different thread. Like Babaji would give the scribe a name for the messages, and the messages would be all of a certain type, like the prophecies ones. There was a bunch of prophecies given that were given between 1998 or 9 and like 2001 or 2. But there was other messages that should be in that prophecies that came later. He gave messages all the way in 2013 and 14, whatever. And so they would put these things together that were all a part of like a teaching or something. And they had different themes. And so when they did the books, that's how they did the messages. So the messages didn't go in chronological order, which they're coming out now in the Whispers of the Brighter World. And so in the Whispers 2, they put this message in, this partial message. They didn't have the date, this one I just read you. They only put some of it in the book. There's no date on it. They just showed you the esoteric symbol. And I don't know if the message that was there previously to it, where he talked about this symbol. So it was given in 1999, but it didn't make it into the first book. And then it was just sort of hanging there in the second book. And maybe there was another message or two in that book. And then over time, we were receiving the messages in order, or they were doing it by book at first. And it came out again probably in 2008 or 9 or whatever. Is that right? Yeah, 2008 or 9. And there was the people who read the book and saw it and talked about it, became a thing for a while. And people experimented with it. And then there was when it came out in a whisper a day. And that was probably only once it's come out before. And it came out in book form. This message was probably never released. At least, Rob sent to me this preceptor, so he had it. So I don't know. Like he might have bookmarked it. So the way they're releasing them now in chronological order, it's every message that's ever been given, unless they're hiding some for whatever reason. I don't know why they would. And so it's a good thing, even though they're not. There used to be these themes and messages, and like he might be giving her messages that were part of a theme on for a 3-month period or even a year-long period, and then he'd have other messages with other themes, that were, that he would say, put this under the title of this. And Babaji would, put them in categories. And so, it's good and it's bad. But I'm glad that they're finally doing this. We're releasing all the messages in order. And so the bad thing about that is there's a message per day and the messages went all the way till 2017, we're never going to get through them. The world will probably collapse before all the messages come out. And that's the bad thing, because they're right now just going through 1999. And, in the beginning, they were sporadic. She didn't give messages every day. But sometimes there are 2 messages a day. So, it's going to be slow going. And that's the bad part about it. But I have bookmarked, I think, as many as I saw. And I think I saw all of them, but I might have missed 1 or 2 of all the messages that had to do with the esoteric symbol. Now, going back to what I say in the beginning of this thing, that the symbol, there was no symbology in Sajmark. They were getting away from mantras and, rituals and symbols and things, the cross being the symbol and Christianity and, all these different symbols. And then multiple symbols you find in even Christianity, all this stuff that you would see in Dan Brown's books, right? The Da Vinci Code and all the rest of them. There's so much symbology in religion and Freemasonry and all these things. But in Sajmarg, there was nothing. They had the emblem, which was you'd wear the emblem if you were traveling. But for people who were in the West, because it had a reverse swastika, which is originally an Indian symbol. And in the emblem, it means the starting point of your journey. The emblem, which I've talked about before, shows a path through dark mountains and then there's a sun, but the goal is beyond the sun, is beyond light. And there's this, description of it. But it's, something you'd have to understand. You'd have to read the description, or you'd have to understand this type of ancient yogic. And even that, it's not like a symbol that existed. It's not a symbol. It's an emblem that represents the path of Sajmarg. It was given to Babaji in divine, when he was in a deep meditative state, and he was ordered to, make this emblem. And that, wasn't really a symbol. You weren't supposed to meditate on it or anything like that. So they came out with this symbol here, and, I was so blown away by the Whispers messages, I didn't question it, but it was something that was away from the normal Sajmark stuff. But when I meditated on it, there's so much energy. And I've been doing it now again. And just immediately, as soon as I think of that center point, it's just a lot of energy. It's a very strong connection. And it actually works. And I think the cleaning process in terms of, it helps clean your system. Not that it should enter into the nightly cleaning, but just when you meditate on it, it seems to just push away grossness. And it's almost like locking into the meditation on it, where you lock in on a deeper level. And so it's been very effective. Just with anything else, with everything else in Sajmark, it's got to be practical. It has to have practical results, because you won't do it otherwise. The Sajmark practice is based in you feeling something or you experiencing benefit. And that's the only way they can keep people, because there's not a really, good organization. And, now certainly with the Gratefullness, there's no organization at all, right? It's just me making videos and describing things and you doing the practice and either benefiting from it or not. Those people who benefit from it will stay most of the time, at least for a bit. But those who don't will certainly leave. Because if you're meditating isn't great. And so if you're not getting benefit, why would you do it, right? Even if people getting benefit, they tend to, not stick with it. Even if they don't out and out quit, it falls off. What happened with me in this esoteric symbol. I meditated on it, got benefit, and it fell out of my practice. And, I still was doing the practice, but I mostly forgot about it. And I saw it a few times. Every once in a while, I would see the folder when I'd be searching for a Whispers message that I'd be reading here. And I still didn't, capitalize on it and say, oh, yeah, I should start doing that again. I would think about it oh, yeah. That was cool. I got to revisit that. But it came up here, and I thought it was kind of my duty to share it with you guys. And then I reinvested in it, and now I think it's a central point. Like now there's this stuff going on here with the the videos and the playlist. And eventually, what I'll do is I'll save all the messages and the images into some some cyberbook, some whatever they call it, ebook, and I'll put it on. Hopefully, I'll have a website at some point. I got to get my websites back up. I got to find a web person. I'm eventually going to do that, and then I'll do a little gratefulness something, or I'll find a way to share the ebook. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but down the road. This guy Rob, who's a preceptor, that's really categorized the whispers as well. There's a bunch of us who did it, who saved the whispers. I have like 1,000 of them saved, and finding them and all these things, and like how many can I read again? Like at some point I should print them all out and have them in a some sort of get them bound at Staples or something. But anyways, like some of us categorized and saved the messages, and I got a lot of them had to do with the collapse and prophecy type stuff and electromagnetic, all the stuff I cover on my other channels. So I have a certain type of whispers I would save. Other ones had the more loving ones, but this guy had one of the people who watched my videos and found Saj Marg through me and this channel ended up going to I think there was 2 or 3 people, maybe the guy and his wife and somebody else, were getting sittings from Rob, this preceptor who reached out to me when Dodgy and all these guys wanted to contact me because they were bummed about what I was saying, and there's a whole thing there. And Rob, this guy said that Rob had a whole booklet of stuff to do with the Esoteric Symbol, and he said he was going to send it to me, but I have a lot of the stuff already, and so I don't know if it's necessary. I contacted Rob, and he's gonna, I don't know, send me. I don't know what he's gonna do. But I think I have most of the stuff here, and I think it's like all the messages I read. There might be a few messages missing, and I don't know if they're really necessary, because you have to just practice using it, and the idea is you're just meditating on the symbol, and the center point is like all that I need when I do it. Like I don't need to think about the rest of the symbol. I just think about that center point, and maybe it's just a way of meditating on the central region, but it's really effective. It improves my meditation significantly, and so that's good. And there'll be more messages coming about it over the course of whatever, and I'll read those messages and add to this playlist just to keep people. And every once in a while, I might just say something about it to keep people aware of it, or new people are trying it. I want to keep the content on this channel to a minimum so that people can watch all the videos when they start doing Gratefullness, because it's they're all informative, and then they can go out and they can subscribe to Whisper a Day, and they can buy some literature, and they can find talks by Charji and Babaji on the internet and things like this. You have to search for that stuff, but people have found it. It's not that hard to find. You can search the term Saj Marg. You can search the, Babaji, B-A-B-U-J-I, and Charji, C-H-A-R-I-G-I. And, you search these things, and there's lots of videos on the internet with them in them. And then, there's all the content you can still buy on the bookstore. And then there's online ebooks that are free, PDFs that you can read and things online. My Master by Charji, which is a great book to read, and then the 5 books by Babaji, the complete works of Ramchandra. So those are all the things that are available, and I've talked about these things in other videos, and there's links in all the playlists with them on. I'll put it in this playlist as well. There's in the description of this playlist, there'll be the links, and there'll be the mission prayer and all that. Link to the videos. to the to the resources that you can get all the stuff on Sajmark. And so I have to remind people of that too. And I do that in the other playlists. But again, I want to keep the content to a minimum for that reason. But anyways, this is kind of interesting, and people are reporting that they're having a positive effect using this symbol. This guy also who went to rob the preceptor said that he'd been using it and he found it very effective. Anyways, only spirituality will save this world. As Paul Romano definitely reported from the Apocalaughs and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.